Hi, this is Ryan from Dakota Angler and Outfitter, and today we're going to be tying a Lil Kim Streamer. We're using a Partridge Attitude streamer hook in a size 4 with a large cone head on it. And the first step is we're taking some 020 lead wire and wrap it on the hook. I actually use this, I scoot it up under the cone head to keep the cone head in place while you're tying the fly. You do probably 10 or 12 wraps. Break the front off. You can do a few more behind that if you want. It's used primarily just to hold the cone up front. Break the back off. Scoot it all up in there. So then we're using 140 denier Wapsi Ultra Thread. Start that right behind the lead. Make sure your lead's all bound down nice. Do a few wraps over that just to make sure it doesn't take off on you. Alright, and then the first step is take a blood quill piece of marabou. This is really important. If you use like a regular woolly bugger marabou, the fly isn't going to turn out nearly as well. So fold it all back. I like to do, on this short of a hook, about 2 hook lengths. So like that. Tie it down. And then trim off your extra. Cover that up with your thread. And wind it to the back of the hook, making sure that everything's staying nice and on top. All the way to the bend. Like that. And then we're going to take 3 pieces of crinkle mirror flash from Yellowstone and do 3 pieces on each side of the marabou tail. You can do 2 or 4. The number isn't super important, just having a few on each side. So take and tie down 3 pieces on this side. I'm going to end up with just 2 on the other side, but that's alright. Alright, just make sure that's wound back all the way in front of the tail and bring your thread forward a little ways and trim off any extra. You want it about the same length as the tail. So then take a few more pieces of that same flash, and you're going to tie in about 4 or 5 pieces of it, maybe half a dozen at most, and you're actually going to just tie them down heading towards the back of the hook and leave them pretty long because you're actually going to wrap these for your underbody. And then take a piece of UV polar chenille. We're going to use silver on this fly. Tie that down as well. And bring your thread all the way to the front. So then take all those pieces of flash and wrap them for a body. They don't need to be super close together necessarily, just enough to kind of make the whole body flashy. You're going to wrap the polar chenille over the top of it anyways, but get them as close together, as neat looking as you can. Wrap them all the way up to the cone. Tie that down. And you can save these pieces of flash and you can use them later when we put a little more flash on the front of the fly. So then take your polar chenille and you're going to palmer it up just like you were wrapping a hackle on a woolly bugger. So leave spaces in between each wrap. Depending how flashy you want it, you could put them closer together, but I like spacing them pretty evenly apart. And just kind of wrap it back with your hand as you're wrapping forward. And do that almost all the way up to the bead. Just leave yourself a little bit of space behind the bead. Tie that down. Kind of wrap it all back, push it all back with your hand. Do a few wraps just to keep everything under control. And trim your excess off. And then we're going to take another blood quill piece of marabou and kind of push all your polar chenille back. And you want this to go just a little ways past the bend of the hook, I would say. Kind of make sure everything's sitting nice. Give it a couple loose wraps. And cinch her down. A lot of times I'll take and push my thumb on top of it and kind of spread it around. You want it on the top half of the hook, but you can kind of make it veil the whole top half. Like that. And trim off your extra there. Give yourself a few wraps. And take about 3 pieces of flash again for each side of the fly, and you're going to tie these down at the front and make them extend all the way to the back tail. Oops. Like that. And trim them off about the total length of the body. Flip it over. And do the same thing on this side. Trim that also. Make sure everything's kind of swept back the right direction. And then you're going to take a grizzly dyed olive schlappen feather, and we're actually going to wrap right in front of the body, between the body and the bead, just to kind of fill that little thread spot we made there. So take and trim yourself a little triangle to tie your schlappen feather in by. Wrap it down. Give it a good 3-4 wraps. Make sure it doesn't come off. And then, especially with big soft feathers like this, really fold it back with your hands as you're wrapping it so all the fibers end up flowing backwards towards the back of the fly. It doesn't necessarily need to be super neat, but the fly turns out a lot better looking if you fold it back as you're wrapping it. Usually about 3 wraps is enough, 3 to 4 depending how much room you have at the front of your fly. Like that. And tie that down. A couple more wraps. Fold everything back, do a couple more wraps to make sure everything's bound down. Trim off your extra hackle. And fold everything back, 1 or 2 more wraps, and then whip finish. Overall, it's a pretty simple fly. This fly works really good and it adapts itself really well. You can tie in a lot of different colors. Olive seems to be good. We do a copper body from time to time also, but the silver just seems to have been best for me. Thanks for watching.